G'day, I'm Scott Poynton and welcome to A Different Way, the place where we talk about creating impact and bringing change, and in particular around the social entrepreneur journey. And in this video, I want to talk with you about getting started, how to get started on your social entrepreneur journey and what you're going to take in your kit bag. When you're setting out on a long walk, for example, you've got to do a bit of planning. You've got to think ahead. And in this case, in this video, I'm not going to talk about so much the practical things. Like when you go out on a walk, you need a water bottle, you probably need a sun hat, depending on what time of year. You might need a raincoat, you might need some sunscreen. You probably want to bring a map, right? So there's a whole series of more sort of tangible and technical things that you need to bring with you on your journey if you're going for a long walk up the mountain or whatever, right? Let's think about a multi-day walk. You've got to plan ahead. You've got to have a sleeping bag, all of these things. You've got to have a bit of a sense about where you're going. But in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about the intangible things, the things that exist inside you, because as I've found through my social entrepreneur journey, they actually are the most important things. The tangible things, you can find them anywhere. You can go and buy them. But what you can't buy is the important things that exist inside you that's going to help you navigate your journey. Okay, so what are some of those things? What are some of the things that I found were important to me? I would say the first is this sense of passion, this sense of a deep, driving, absolutely driven passion to do something positive in the world. But and not just positive. Well, yes, you can have that broad something idea, but that doesn't help you get started. You've got to actually get specific. And in my case, for example, I wanted to go and save the world's forests. Not every forest. I wanted to save as much as I could. I understood that I probably couldn't get my arms around the entire world's forest, but I wanted to be involved in action and create an impact where I could say, I've saved forests. Okay, so it was quite specific in that sense. I wasn't talking about oceans. I wasn't talking, particularly early in my career, about human rights. I sensed that looking after forests could help look after people as well. But I was absolutely driven about this notion of keeping trees standing. Okay, so that was my passion. And I held on to that. And I still hold on to that today. And my driven journey is to help keep trees and forests standing, because I believe that if we do that, we can help make the world a better place for people and for other species as well. So having that passion, I've actually made a series of notes about this. And the next thing is resilience. Because you could have passion and like, oh, I want to save the world's forest. And then the first sign of trouble, you're like, oh, you wilt away and it all falls away. And you're like, I'm still passionate about it, but oh, I don't think I can climb over that wall, or I can't get around that obstacle that's sitting in the way here. You've got to have resilience. You've got to be sort of tough. And when I say tough, it doesn't mean you've got to be like a bad person, like, you don't want to be rude to people and all the rest of it, but you've got to have that resilience inside you, that when that first blow comes and knocks you, and it could be something you didn't expect, it could be something that's deeply shocking to you, like you're working with a partner and they suddenly do something that's just so bad against your values. We'll talk about values in a second. Right? And you might just absolutely shock you. Well, what do you do with that? You say, well, that's it, I can't keep going. No, you've got to be resilient, you've got to be strong, and you've got to be able to fight your way through the inevitable setbacks that will come your way. Okay, and we talked about values. You've got to be very clear on your values. And values are fundamental to bringing change and creating impact in the world. We're going to have another series of videos about values, but you've got to know who you are. The essence of my more than 2 decades of experience working in this change and impact, non-profit, social entrepreneur, social business space, is that you must, in everything you do, live truly according to your values. And if you do that, you can help other people do that too. And that's when amazing happens. That's when incredible happens. That's when you can bring change at scale. It was completely unthought of, unprecedented. That's my experience, having been involved in some of those type of projects. So being absolutely connected to who you are as a person, your values, your beliefs, things, red lines. Where are the red lines? So my values that I like to think about are truth, respect, courage, compassion, and humility. These are the 5 values for me. And where are red lines? Like if someone lies to me, that's a red line. I can't let that go. You don't, oh yeah, you know, maybe they're a bit tired, they're a bit busy. No, they lied. And so you've got to understand your values. You've got to think about what those are, and we'll have a workshop on that later on in another series of videos where we work on helping you unearth your values, because a lot of people don't even think about that. But we've got to know what they are specifically so that we understand the red lines. So when someone does something, we say, oh, that's great, that feels good, that's aligned with my values. When they do something that isn't aligned with your values, you've got to feel it straight away, but you can't if you haven't sort of unearthed your values. So one of the most important things we've got to do, once we've got our passion sorted out and we're tough, I'm resilient, we've got to talk about our values. We've got to think about who we are as people, and in everything we do, and we will stumble. No one's perfect. We will maybe cross lines ourselves, but we've got to learn about that. We've got to understand that what we did was against our values, and we've got to come back to that. So before you get started on a social entrepreneur journey, I want you to think about who you are as a person. It's great that you've got your passion. It's great that you've thought about resilience. It's one thing to be thinking about resilience, and it's another thing to be tested. So be ready to be tested on your resilience. But fundamental, most of all important, is to be absolutely clear on your values of who you are as a person and what it means to stick to those values through thick and thin, through every situation you're going to face, throughout your entire journey. And understand that you will stumble. And what will you do when you stumble? How will you address that? But also be ready to not judge, because we don't want to judge others, but when someone does something that crosses a red line for you on your values, what are you going to do about that? So I want you to spend a bit of time thinking about that. And really what I want you to do is write those values down and spend some time now exploring those values. Who am I as a person? Write them down and spend some time with them. Refine them. Understand who you are. Understand what it means to be you. And hold on to those things and put them in a place where you'll never forget them and stick with them. We'll talk about some more things. There's a whole list of things, intangible things that you need to have in your kit bag. But at this stage, we've got passion. What is your passion? You've got to understand resilience, and you've got to understand your values. I hope that's useful. If you found that useful, we've got more videos. Do give them a look, and do give us some comments and thoughts and feedback, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Thanks very much.